All right, welcome to the Explainer. You've probably heard all the buzzwords, right? Digital transformation, e-government, digitization, smart cities. They're thrown around all the time, and honestly, it can get super confusing. Well, today, we are going to cut right through all that noise and make these ideas totally clear.
So let's just jump right in. What is the real difference between all these terms? Are they just fancy ways of saying the same thing? And, why should you even care about telling them apart? Well, it turns out we should care a lot. This isn't just some academic word game. When the people in charge, the policymakers, the planners, get these terms mixed up, it causes very real, very expensive problems. We're talking wasted money, duplicated projects, and a whole lot of confusion that keeps technology from reaching its true potential.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we've got to start with the absolute basics. The best way to think about it is like a three-step ladder. Once you understand these three foundational rungs, everything else is going to click right into place.
First up on the ladder is digitization. This one's the most basic step of all. It's really just about taking something physical, like an old paper file, and turning it into a digital file, like a PDF. You're not changing the information itself, you're just changing the format it's in. It's the essential first move on the board.
Now, we take a step up to digitalization. And this is where things get really interesting, because now we're not just storing the information, we're actively using it to make a process better. So instead of just having a patient file on a computer, you're now using a digital system to completely change how appointments are booked. No more waiting in a physical line.
So let's put it simply. Digitization is all about the information, moving it from paper to a screen. But digitization, that's about the action you take with that information to change how work actually gets done.
And that brings us to the very top of the ladder, digital transformation. Now, this is a huge leap. This isn't about improving one little process. This is a complete top-to-bottom reinvention of an entire organization. We're talking about its culture, its strategy, its whole reason for being, all of it reimagined around technology. It's not a project with a start and end date. It is a fundamental shift in how you operate.
So there it is, a really clear progression, right? You start by digitizing your information. Then you use that information to digitalize your processes. And all of that hard work is what paves the way for a true, complete digital transformation.
Okay, now that we've got that foundation locked in, let's see how these concepts actually play out in the world of government. This is where we get four really distinct visions for how technology can literally shape the way a country is run. First, we have e-government. This is probably the one you're most familiar with. Think of it as the government's online front door. It's all about taking an existing service, like applying for a passport, and making it available on a website. The process on the back end might still be the same old paperwork, you're just accessing it through a new digital channel. But, and this is important, don't confuse that with e-governance. If e-government is the front door for services, think of e-governance as opening up the boardroom for everyone to see. This isn't about getting something from the government. It's about participating in how the government makes its big decisions. And that right there is the critical difference. E-government is transactional. It's about you getting things done, like paying a bill. E-governance is political. It's about how decisions are actually made. One is about service, the other is about power. Okay, moving even further, we get to digital government. This is way beyond just putting a website on an old government building. This is about redesigning the entire building from the foundation up, making it digital from its very core. It operates as digital by default. And finally, we get to the real cutting edge, smart government. This is where government actually becomes proactive. It stops just reacting to problems after they happen and starts to anticipate our needs, sometimes fixing issues before we even knew they were there. Okay, I know that was a lot of different terms and concepts, so let's bring it all together in one place and map out the entire journey, from that first scanned piece of paper all the way to a proactive smart city. And here it is, all 7 terms laid out side by side. Just take a second to look at this. See that clear progression? We start with a purely technical change, just scanning stuff. Then we move to a process change, improving how we work. That builds to a total strategic overhaul with digital transformation. Then, when you apply this to government, the focus shifts from just delivering services to changing how decisions are made, and finally to making government truly proactive. This table right here, this is your ultimate cheat sheet. So why is it so urgent to get these definitions right? I mean, why does this matter so much? Because this isn't just theory. To see just how critical this clarity is in the real world, let's take a look at a case study from Iraq.
What the analysis shows is that without these clear definitions, the country is basically stuck in neutral. They're doing a little bit of digitization here, a few surface-level e-governance projects there, but there's no single unified strategy. So the prescription is crystal clear. Use this framework to cut through the confusion, evaluate every single project, and build one coherent roadmap for a real digital future. Without that, money and effort will just keep getting wasted.
And that really brings us to our final thought for today. This framework isn't just for one country, it's a powerful tool that anyone can use to measure progress. So we'll leave you with this question. Using these clear definitions we've talked about, where would you place your own government on this digital journey? Is it still just scanning paper, or is it truly on the path to becoming smart? That's all for this edition of The Explainer.